Howdy, good people. You know what I'm thinking? In this country, I have never heard a person of the Jewish faith say Elohim hu gadol and then kill someone. You know, like it means like God is great in Hebrew. But I only hear people talking about Islamophobia. Like, why are you so Islamophobic? Why don't you like Islam? Well, mate, you know, I think maybe it's because I've heard of things happening in Islam I don't like. But I'm not Islamophobic. I don't fear Islam. I just dislike it. Is that I just don't understand why we have this terminology now. And then at the same time, the hate speech laws. And at the same time, it seems like we have the Uni Party, Labour, in particular Labour, but the Liberals as well, really courting the Islamist vote. And of course the Indian vote and really the larger migrant groups coming to the country. At the same time, let's just have some statistics here. Since the year 2000, the Australian population has increased right at around about 50%. Now, from the year 2000 to 2025, the average, the GDP per capita has doubled, right? But the cost of living has quadrupled. Our infrastructure does not keep up with the population. And we've really been ruled by two political parties, Liberals or Labor, Liberal Party or Labor Party, over the last, well, for as long as anybody can remember. And the response to these statistics by the current treacherous Labor Party, the Uni Party, got to keep using this term, the treacherous Uni Party, is, well, we're going to import 1 million more people each year. And yeah, people, you know, and I don't like, yes, that includes international students because they can take jobs and those jobs are temporary. The employment laws are different. Makes a lot of sense for businesses to hire those people. At the same time, there are Australians who are homeless now. And it leaves you thinking, well, how about this? We've got hundreds of thousands of international students coming in. Okay, that's great, but we can't give them work visas at the moment because they're homeless Australians. And Australians won't do the jobs. I'm pretty sure they will. I've met Australians who drive Uber. I have met Australians who do Uber Eats. So I've met Australians on construction sites, or I have seen Australian people on construction sites, outdoors in the boiling hot weather. So don't tell me they won't do them. I saw an Australian at the car washing place, not far from where I am right now, probably about a 2-minute driveway. 5-minute drive. Don't tell me they won't do the jobs. But I walked into Services Australia, and almost all the staff there are migrants. Okay, fantastic, congratulations. I am actually not pissed off at the migrants, because if I had a choice to leave India or maybe Pakistan or maybe a country like Senegal or maybe a country like let's think, Bulgaria. Oh no, Bulgaria. No, I'm not really. I mean, I've seen pictures of the capital, Sofia. It's beautiful. But maybe a country like, let's think of another one. One more country. Let's think of Nepal. Okay. If I'm from those countries and I come over and I look at Sydney, pictures of Sydney or Brisbane or Melbourne or any of our state capitals, I'll be like, yeah, I want to go there. Of course, got no problem with you guys applying and everything. Congratulations if you made it. I just believe that the Australian government is now not Australians first. I think we're in the middle of the great replacement to create a left-leaning government, which will lead to communism, and it will lead to much more starvation and suffering and homelessness, as it does everywhere. Everywhere communism goes. There were homeless people in communism, but there were also people that were starving in communism, because the government will never give up control of any industry once it has control of it. I see that where it may be just too late now for Australia to turn back. I think what's going to happen, what we're coming to is, I have noticed that the Greens have a pretty reasonable stance on the free speech laws, which I want to say to the Greens, I thought you'd be all for them, and you'd go on, you'd ride the Islamophobia horse until you win the race. But I saw you said the free speech laws go too far. That's a big stance. As for your pro-Hamas views, or pro-Palestine, it's the same thing. Hamas, Palestine, it's the same. It's like the Liberal Party and Labor Party. Palestine and Hamas, two shits in the same toilet. Liberal Labor, two shits in the same toilet. But I'm not equating the Liberal Labor to Hamas. I don't think that Liberal Labor Party want to see us gunned down in the streets. Maybe I'm after COVID, maybe not gunned down, but definitely disable us. I saw people getting assaulted by the police. The police chose their paymaster over their conscience in many cases. They do good work, but when it comes down to if they are ordered to commit violence against an Australian citizen, I don't think they have a problem with it. And I think that what we're seeing is something that happened in the 1980s LA. It was the thug club mentality, is that, well, we've got the right to do this now. We're being ordered to do it. We all have to do it. And some police would say no. And in fact, in Los Angeles in the 80s, when crack cocaine was making its way into the black neighborhoods, there were a few police who stood up and said, no, we're not going to allow this to happen. And at that time, California was still pretty much Republican. But the radical left wing, the Democratic Party, the party of Satan, the party of sedition and treason, very much needed crack cocaine in order to gain the votes. This is how they did it. Truly a most sick, seditious and treasonous, disgusting thing that you could do to other humans is get all the blacks, Hispanics involved in crack cocaine and drugs. Right? Now at the same time, yes, some of them would go to jail and things like this and that, and 3 strikes and you're out policies and whatnot. But what they would do is, this is when the mail-out ballot started to play a very prominent role in California politics. So imagine if you've got a quarter of the population addicted to drugs, and you've got all these mail-out ballots going out everywhere. Well, you can pick them and you can sign them up yourself. This has happened for a very long time. But basically, it's full control of the people. Now, the police at the same time, people started to say that they were selling the dope, or they were allowing people to sell the dope and got a cut. So we saw it's New York, LA, it's Chicago. We saw this so quite a few of them did get arrested, but the majority didn't. The majority were quietly hushed away, said, okay, this game's over. They've sort of found out. Same thing's happening with Democrat in Minnesota right now, New York, California today started to pop off. They come out to create the insurrection, the sedition, the treason, the radical left-wing lunatic Marxist forces against the great American Constitution. And they will use this to their advantage, the radical left-wing lunatic politicians. Although they believe in capitalism for themselves, but everybody else should be part of the socialist experiment and starve to death. The subversives right now, the protesters right now, who call themselves anti-fascist, they will be called subversives, and they'll be arrested once the authoritarian control police state is in full competency. Right now it's not. It's still in its infancy. They need a lot more radicalism in the United States to finally get over the mark. But as we will see, the UK and Australia are going to be heading down that path. We're starting to see it now with the Marxists in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. They're starting to get the red shirts, the brown shirts, the revolutionary forces into play. The police are sort of backing off and not arresting them. Anybody speaks up against them, they're getting arrested. So we're sort of heading to this we're heading to this direction too. And I think that the police who are watching this, because I'm probably under investigation already because I don't like the Labor Party or the Liberal Party, the Uni Party. I got to keep calling it the Uni Party. I believe that you have something to think about, and that is that very soon people are going to reach their threshold. And there's much violence that has been perpetrated against us, not just in physical violence, but also in economic violence, also in social violence. And what I mean by this is the very fabric of Australian society has been changed way too much, and it's just gone too far. We have lost our identity, and I know that the radical left-wing lunatic Marxist revolutionaries, in order to gain power, we must lose understanding of who we are as a culture. Indigenous Australians, you guys have to really come together and come strong, because they're going to come after you. They're going to go after your culture. They're going to say that your culture is based on these Marxist principles, that the white man is bad, he's evil, he's treacherous. But we're going to save you. No, they're not. Remember, in every Marxist revolutionary, in any revolution, it is the indigenous who suffer the most because they are the most vulnerable. And yes, I am saying you are the most vulnerable in any Marxist revolution. Us Australians, I should say it like this. Us non-First People Australians and First People Australians. Indigenous, you can call yourselves Aboriginal, that's great. We're not your enemy. Understand it. We want to sit with you at the table of brotherhood and eat with you. We want to go play basketball with you. We'll even play AFL if anybody can play that game. We know it's Australians and Indigenous Australians. But they're going to come after you and say, white man bad. Now give us your rights to your freedom. And you will think like this and think like that. You will not have your freedom anymore. I think we are on the precipice of something horrendous popping off in this country if we continue with the Uni Party. We have now objective facts that the Labor Party is much more concerned with the longevity, sustainability, maintenance of the Labor Party than it considers the longevity, sustenance and maintenance of the great Australian culture, which includes you guys, Indigenous Australians, which includes you guys, migrant Australians. But they are now looking to replace us again with people that do not have our values. And if that happens, there's going to be a lot of conflict because groups of people who are now in Australia, who have been here for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. There are certain groups, and we don't need to discuss who they are. They have never assimilated into our nation. They are much more, but I tell you what, they're very, very likely to get government sponsorship into government welfare programs and to become providers of those programs and to be corrupt and abuse the system. They're very likely to be that. But they have not assimilated. And they are going to push and demand our culture to change. And you're going to find a lot of Australians will finally say, enough is enough. And I'm just not talking about your Caucasians. I'm talking about your Indigenous. They want to keep their culture. When I was a child, we had Indigenous elders in the 80s come into our school and tell us the stories of the dream time. These stories enthrall children. We love these stories. We loved the characters, the way that was spoken, the narration. They were alive to us. I don't want to lose that. I don't want my kids being taught LGBTQ theory in school. I want them to learn about their dream time, because they're the stories of Australia, of our culture. And if you're a Caucasian Australian like me, and you don't consider Indigenous Aboriginal culture part of Australian culture, you're not my friend. Or we have to have a conversation. It's very important that remain alive, and it will be crushed by the cultural Marxists because it will not fit their narrative. Because you must believe they are the true fascists. When you think about it, they want full authoritarian control. The only difference is that they don't have nationalist pride in the traditional sense of fascism. Their pride is in divisiveness, in division of pride, which means that the nation will fall apart because you cannot remain a cohesive nation with people of all diasporas coming in wanting their own thing. And some of them want to completely take us over and force us into their way of life, which is not the Australian way, which is why I am so supportive of learning about the Indigenous Aboriginal culture in schools. Because we already have the diversity, we just don't want your diversity, which is full-on authoritarian communism. We have the freedom of thought, the freedom to think on our own. We don't need the government to tell us what to think, say, and do. And some things, yes, like murder and rape and pedophilia, yeah, let's just put them to death. Let's just bring back capital punishment for them. But if I get charged with hate speech because I'm criticizing Islam, well, sorry, Australian culture, mate, we get to talk shit. We tell our best friends to go fuck themselves. We have fisticuffs with our best mate. Then we shake hands and go, yeah, that's why you're my mate. That's what we do. That is Australian culture. It's so interesting, you know. Anybody can say whatever they want about Christians, Jews, Sikhs, Hindus, Buddhists, Scientologists. Oh, don't they get shitted on all the time? Anybody can say anything about those. Islam's are now a protected species because the Labor Party want to keep the Labor vote, the Islam vote. They're going to import more than 15% of people in this country will be Muslim. And what happens when the population Muslim hits 15%? What happens? Do you know what happens, good people? Your country falls apart. Becomes splintered off. And we can see that in the fact that the assimilation just doesn't really happen. I'm not picking on all Muslims here. I'm picking on the radicals. And they're being pampered too right now. I've got to be very scared of that. But I am scared that the politicians will lead us down a very dark path. A very dystopian Orwellian 1984 where we will not be able to get ourselves out of without VIOLENCE. I don't want that to happen. But when you push people to the fucking edge, they've got nowhere to go. But political VIOLENCE. I don't want it to happen. There's only one way out in Australia right now. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. Greens, you've been very cute with your little thing about free speech, but unfortunately you're still pro-Hamas. So no, you're out of the question. National Party, One Nation, come together now, immediately. Never go back to the Uni Party. Susan Ley and the Liberal parties are treacherous and seditionist, just like Labor. They're basically just Labor's little cuckolds now. So Nationals, One Nation, come together immediately. Get your people out there. Start getting back to some very basic, broad policy. What the first one will be an immediate rescinding of at least 2 million foreigner visas. I don't care who or how you do it. We need to get back. I tell you the number we need to get back to. This nation must go back to at least 25 million. No more. There will be no more people for 100 years. The maximum will be 25 million. But that will be an immediate removal of 2 million. Actually, it's probably about 3 million. Sorry, it's not racism. We don't have the infrastructure for you. We don't have the homes for you. Australians are homeless. Australia first. Then we will hold a referendum. Should we allow migrants over the next 10 years? If so, how many? 0 to 100,000 a year? 100 to 300,000 a year. We don't need any more than 300,000. Labor Party want to flood us with millions a year to destroy our culture. But no, maximum will be 300,000. I can guarantee you that I would guarantee that it would be 3/4 would say no immigrants, no more. And you know what? You know who the largest group of people who would say no immigrants? Be immigrants. Because a lot of people who have lived in this country for 10, 15 years tell me, yeah, we see the new people coming in, they're not like us. They're not coming to be Australian. They're coming to get something from this country. They're not coming to be us. I'm like, that's well said. But we need to hold that referendum as quickly as possible. We can't do it with Labor and Liberals, the Uni Party, because they're very treacherous right now. Can't be trusted. But we need to get the National Party in, One Nation Party in, and anybody that was against the free speech laws, anybody that doesn't support Hamas, and anybody who says no more foreign aid whatsoever, even if it's Papua New Guinea, you're not getting $10 off us. Not until every Australian is housed, not until we have the major infrastructure projects and mandates underway in order to grow the country, and we can get back to a standard of living where every Australian has a home, have 2 cars in the driveway, are able to go on at least one holiday a year and live comfortably. Because I will tell you, middle-class Australians 30 years ago had that opportunity. That's what we need to get back to. And don't tell me we're going backwards with this. No, it is called quality of life, and we will be moving forward to that quality of life. Boy, I tell you what, I hope we can find a President Trump for this country. At least someone's going to be Australia first. I think we have her. So what are you afraid of? You afraid of being called a racist, Islamophobe? I don't give a shit anymore. Call me both of them. Let's get Australia back to what it was. The lucky country. Instead of the Labor Party dystopian nightmare.